It's time for this week's UpLift. 3 ordinary guys that want you to find the freedom that is available by knowing our Lord Jesus Christ. So sit back and enjoy UpLift, brought to you by the Fulcrum Center. Visit our site at thefulcrumcenter.org.
It's been a while since we've been here together.
Yeah, it has. I was just walking in tonight thinking, wow, how different this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the last time that I was on, it was we were remote with the Zoom meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And then
right.
you and I were on together
Okay.
for the one that
That I wasn't here for.
the elephant and the bumblebee, the one that he wasn't here for.
Oh,
The
okay.
elephant and the bumblebee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we took Thanksgiving off.
Okay.
So here we are.
Yeah,
It was
fantastic.
yeah.
And it is. It's good to be back.
It is.
And we survived the onslaught of turkey and pumpkin pie and whatever. You know, we survived Thanksgiving.
The pumpkin pie was good.
Too good.
Yeah, there was 2 of them. One for
good.
me and one for me. No, just kidding.
Yeah, at
There
one
you
point
go.
Phil, I texted you and you were, and I was like, "What have you been doing?" And you're like, "Nothing." I took a couple days off, and I was like, "Wow, this is serious."
Yeah, right. It is serious.
I did have a couple days off.
And that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's
It
great.
was really nice. I mean, but it was so bad because every day I thought it was Sunday.
Oh, really? Yeah, that's funny.
And then when Sunday came around, I forgot that I had an appointment here at church Sunday morning. And I missed it.
Awkward.
Yes. But hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
I guess you could say I was not very effective that day.
Oh, no.
Oh no, you were effective in your sermon.
Okay. Yeah, well,
You just weren't effective at the appointment that you weren't at.
But you know, we can do things to make our prayer life more effective.
That's a great lead in, Phil. See how we did that? I see what you did
Never
there.
saw it coming.
No.
That was fantastic.
In all fairness, Chad came up with the idea. I added the creative flair.
Phil's pitching it. There we go.
Phil blended it in just like an author would do who has a series of books.
I know. Who's even an author whose second book came out
Today.
today.
That's
I
right.
know. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome. It is.
Yep,
It
4
is.
Hearts
Man,
came out
congratulations.
today. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really?
I'm pretty excited.
A lot of hard work went into that.
I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I already sold a couple 40 on 70 books along with this one. People were like, oh, I didn't read the first one. I want to read both of them now. So
Yeah.
Man, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Man,
That's awesome.
how neat to watch this message get out.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm pretty excited about it because that's the thing. I want to get the message out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about making money. It's not about saying I'm a published author. I just want to get this message out because it's important. The theme of this second book it's the underlying theme is spiritual warfare.
Mhm.
And I talk heavily about the authority that we have that was given to us by Jesus,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
and that we need to use that authority. And what can happen when we give that authority away to the demonic, or if we just don't use that authority, how things can happen to us. So I probably could have written twice the size of what I did, but I knew nobody would read it then. So I kind of condensed it down a little bit, but
There's nothing wrong with a little War and Peace.
I was thinking Moby Dick, but sure, that works too. Sure, that works too. But anyway, yeah, I'm hoping that people have positive positive impact, and I hope they have positive feedback. Because if they have both, then I know that I did my job.
Yeah.
Well, it's 4 Hearts. That's the name of the book, right?
4 Hearts.
Yes. So the thing that my takeaway from it was when I was beta reading. Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
This is my copy.
There you
That's
go.
your copy.
Yeah. So my takeaway when I was doing the beta reading and that sort of thing was, it's mind blowing. It's deep and it's very educational and it's also entertaining, but it really, really opened my eyes to new ways of thinking about authority that we have.
Okay.
And I've kind of been
Good.
a little bit of a rampage since I
Fantastic.
That's kind of a bizarre word now that I think about it, but
You got to read this book from Pastor Bill. You got to read this book.
maybe not that intense. But it's mind blowing. I think people's minds will be blown by it, and it's deep. And a lot of people, it covers stuff that a lot of people don't think about. I know a lot of people who don't think about that sort of thing. And so I'll be interested to see what the feedback is. But I think that people should approach it with an open mind in learning about that authority that we're given and how God's, let's call it, I don't want to call it a legal system, but how legalities work and all that sort of thing, and what we can do to change with all that to change our lives for the better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which is the point of UpLift.
There we go.
Yes, absolutely.
So tonight's topic, as Phil alluded to, is how to be more effective in prayer and to work within God's authority that He's given us to make our lives better.
More uplifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, to follow through with what God even designed us to do. So it's like, we talk and we can talk about our identity, we talk about our purpose and what God's given us. And all of that is what we have been given, but we've also been given this authority to go be these people and to go do what God's called us to do. What has He even breathed life into us, but what He intended us to do here on this earth. And so we've been given, as Jesus said in Matthew 28, we've been given all the authority that we need. And so the question is, so how's that working for us?
Right. And that's where we have to look in the mirror to a point.
Right?
Yeah, we have to look in that mirror and see, because a lot of us struggle with things that some of which is self-inflicted and some isn't. But when we read the book, not just Phil's book, but the Bible,
which is much better than mine.
But when we read the Bible and we study these things, we find out that God has given us a lot of things, but we take it for granted and we let a lot of junk in, which causes us a lot of problems in our life. So we have to start eradicating that junk out. Not an easy thing to do, to eradicate the junk out, but we have a lot more authority than we use. God's given us all these tools and promises and gifts for others, to use for others, and to use for ourselves. And there's all sorts of things, and it's very clear, and I've been reading a lot in the New Testament. Phil's been reading in the Old Testament lately, and we've been, sharing information back and forth about a lot of these things lately. But it's powerful, and it's something that for most Christians I feel is completely untapped for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And myself included up until recently.
Yeah, I remember, I don't remember the exact day, but I remember when, I realized a lot of things that were happening in my life were spiritually motivated, like things because of the demonic, or because of, I was off track with God or something like that. Off track on my relationship with God, I should say. And when I realized that I have authority to, take care of some of these things, it changed my life. It really changed my life drastically, and I became a lot more empowered and more free, and I haven't looked back.
Right.
So, yeah, don't think just because I'm a pastor that I have this authority. That's not what it is. We all, anyone listening or watching this right now, has the authority because God gave it to us.
Yeah.
So you don't have a special connection.
I don't have a special connection.
And at points I say that in jest.
I know you do.
But how many people truly believe that?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, in parts, it could be that they're just admitting to their distance in their relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
And going, well, I'm just, I'm assuming that you're a pastor, so you're closer to Him than I
Yeah,
am. So,
yeah,
can
yeah,
you put in a
sure.
good word for me?
Yeah.
But it's one of those things to go, but what you have in a relationship with the Lord is the same thing that anybody else can have. And
Yes.
and a lot of times we won't take responsibility of going, okay, I need to build that relationship.
And you can't say I don't know how, because I didn't know how. I found out. I went to God.
And that's part of the building the relationship.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I said, go to the one who knows. Okay, God, I've heard about this. What do I do? How do I do this? work with me. And you know what? He did.
Right.
Funny how that works.
Isn't it amazing?
You know, Jesus said, who among you, when your child asks for a loaf of bread, gives them a snake or a serpent instead?
Right.
Or a serpent or a scorpion? You know, something like that. But you ask God for it, he's going to give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a promise.
Right.
It is. It is.
But, you know, Chad, like what you said, and I'm not sure if you said it before we started recording or not, but you said something like, don't ask God for what he's already given you. And that was powerful.
Right.
I really believe that. Don't ask him for what he's already given you, because he's already given it to you.
Yeah.
You know, like if you ask me, say, Phil, can I have a glass of water? And I give you some water, are you going to keep asking me?
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
unless you drink it and you want more. I understand that, but I mean, you're gonna drink it, then you're gonna, okay, he gave it to me. So God is giving you the things that you need, that you ask for, if you ask within his will. You know, okay, so then we go to what's his will? That you love him, that you do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God.
Well, there's also, too, it's like, you know, I look at, you know, there's some expectations that I have on my kids to do certain things. And I give them things to do, and I walk them through, and I teach them how to do it, and they see how to do it. And so then at that point, there's an expectation of them to take out the trash. Use that as an example. You know how to take out the trash. You know how to tie up the bag. You know how to carry something. You know where it goes when it goes outside. I've shown you all these things. I've done it with you. I've walked you through it. Now go take out the trash. But Dad, can you help me? Go take out the trash, son. You know, and it's one of those things to go, I've shown you, I've given you the tools, I've given you the knowledge, go do. And so then my son understands my will because I've walked him through those things. I've shown him how to do those things. And he understands that it's my dad's will that the trash goes out when it's full. There's an expectation, but at the same time, he understands what my will is. So we, in our relationship with the Lord, as we walk with him through situations and circumstances, and we read the scriptures and it shows us how to handle things and reminds us and tells us of the authority we have, then those things combined let us know what the will of the Father is. And we have to go live accordingly.
That's right.
And it's you know, he's the great I am. He's the great one who has shown and empowered us and has given us the authority and has walked us through and all of those things. He's not the great enabler.
Right.
And a lot of times we look at him that way. Well, I can't do this. You know, God, can you give me some water? Well, yeah, here's some water. God, can you help me drink it? God, can you help it nourish my body? God, you know what? Pick the glass up and drink it. You understand that you need to do this. And it's like faith without works is dead. If you don't pick up the glass, guess what? You'll die of thirst.
That's right.
And,
That's a good point.
and it really does. But we have taken our hands off of that responsibility at points. When everything's been given to us, we sit in front of a buffet, but we won't pick up the fork. And so we will starve. And God's like, come on, kids. Grab a hold of this and let's get things in motion. Let's step into it. It's okay. But the enemy he gets in and, you know, we start, well, I don't know if I can. You know, let's get Phil. Phil's a pastor. He's got a great connection with the Lord. Let's get Phil to do it.
Right.
And everybody's like, yeah, let's get Phil to do it.
And Phil's going to say, God wants you to do it yourself.
Right. But even too, you know, we can look at the church and go, do you see one of the reasons why pastors are so weighed down?
Yeah.
Right.
But we need to step into these things we've been called to, and we've been given.
Right. And people, Christians, we don't see the results we want to see, and we get frustrated. And I'm speaking firsthand knowledge. But
Sure.
the reason is because we don't speak to our mountains. Because that's what he commanded us to do. That's what he instructed us to do. we have to speak to our mountains, and this is going to be a little controversial, but I listened to a sermon or a pastor one time say, God will hold your hand all the way to the end, and he'll comfort you and hold your hand all the way to the end. But if you would have spoken to your mountain, you would have eradicated the problem. And so often we don't create our own mountains, but sometimes we do create our own mountains and we let things in. And back to this authority we talked about, we give authority to the one who desires to kill and destroy us.
Yeah.
Steal, kill, and destroy. We give him wide open doors into us to do that. So God, God's sitting there saying, I gave you my scripture. I gave you my son on the cross. I've given you all the promises. I've given you the covenant. I've given you all the stuff. And, like we've been talking about, he's given us the buffet.
Yeah.
Given us the buffet. So what we got to do is we got to slam that door shut on allowing authority to this enemy who comes against us and wants us to be, killed and destroyed. And we have to shut that door and we have to start speaking to these mountains and get them out, because that's what he instructed us to do. But oftentimes we cry out to God when all we have to do is we're focused in the wrong direction. We have to start really thinking and focusing about speaking to those mountains and commanding them with the authority that he gave us. He gave us the leverage. He gave us the tools.
Yeah.
He gave us the knowledge and he gave us the ability to speak to. Don't cry out to God. Command your mountain.
I think that's such a great point, Chad. And one of the things that's been going through my mind as you were talking was, what would I have done if I was one of the disciples standing before Christ? And, and they had walked with him for a time, but standing in front of him, and he says, okay, I'm going to put you guys together 2 by 2. And you have to go out, and I'm going to send you out to heal the sick, cast out demons, and basically do all the things that you've been watching me do.
Yeah.
Now, I'm sending you, which is I'm giving you the authority. Go. I would have been like, have you lost your ever-loving mind? Are you kidding me?
Yep.
I'm going to have to go out there and deal with these things? And really, in essence, that is exactly what Christ has done for us. He's like, I've given you all of this authority, and I know that you're going to face these mountains in your life. Some you will have created yourself, I get it. And some is going to be brought to you, the enemy's going to attack. But you need to deal with it. You need to speak to it, deal with it, cast it out of the way, remove it, whatever it is, and move on.
Right.
Absolutely.
That would rock the church today.
It would. And the uplifting part of that, he didn't have to do that for us.
No.
I mean, that's the uplifting
great.
part.
Yes.
He did it for us. He gave us authority over these mountains.
That's
we could
exactly right.
we could just suffer forever, but we don't have to. But see, that's the thing that I'm talking about, because it's controversial.
Yeah.
Okay. Even and even Kathy and I, my wife Kathy and I, we've had disagreements about authority over certain things, about the way that we interpret things. I've become a lot more aggressive in my thoughts than she is. And I'm just putting it out there. We love each other. We have these conversations.
Absolutely.
But and it's not like but
right.
And we all have our interpretations of things, to be honest.
We do.
And our own thoughts about it. But my point is, I read it in the book, and now I can't unread it.
Right?
I mean, I'm not saying whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like as you said, that Jesus sent us out. He said,
yes,
go heal the sick and cast out the demons. That's what the man said, and he gave us the authority to do it. Now, I will say it is certainly not that simple, because we have to eradicate all that junk that we carry within us.
Right, like the doubt.
Yes, doubt. unbelief.
That's right.
Unbelief, lack of belief, all those things, because we can doubt ourselves and defeat ourselves right into the corner.
Right. One of my favorite passages in the Bible is in Mark. The man whose son is sick, he comes to Jesus and says, "If you can, make my son well." Jesus goes, "If I can,
Right.
but just believe." And he says, "I do believe, but help my unbelief."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Jesus acted.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
he
That's
showed
good.
that I am weak. I believe in you. You have the power. Now
Yeah. And
enacted in me.
exactly. And even in this man's humility, which is a great lesson to all of us, he called it out in himself.
Yes.
He called out we can call it the mountain of unbelief
Right.
in his own life
Right.
and says, God, help me with this, but I'm calling this out, but I believe. I need to believe. I need to believe.
Yeah, and doubt stops a lot of people right in their tracks. They get encouraged. They feel like, hey, I can make a difference now. I can do this. And then they start listening to, instead of taking it to God, they listen to other voices. They listen to other people. They listen to television, tells them they can't do it. All kinds of things saying they can't do it. And they go, okay, shrink back down and
Yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah.
Doubt takes over. But when you face the doubt, you eradicate the doubt. I know that God gave me the authority. I'm going to do this. And then you'll see mountains move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will make your prayer effective. When you believe what you're asking for, what you're saying. And, again, back to your point about asking for what he's already given you. Don't ask him, give me the ability to heal. Give me the ability to cast out demons. He's already given you that. If it be your will that this person's healed, it is. He gave you the authority to do it. So just heal the person.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, God's doing the work, but we have the authority to act on it.
Yeah, and a lot of this goes back to bringing ourselves in alignment with Him.
Yeah.
Because that's how people are always wondering, how do I achieve this? How do I unlock it? That's a complicated thing that we could probably go for 4 or 5 hours on. It is, and that's where my Kathy and I's conversation always ends up is why didn't this happen? Why didn't that happen? Or why whatever. It's because it is very complicated. There's a lot of complicated things about our beliefs and our lack of belief and our lack of faith that we have sometimes and that sort of thing because of a lot of reasons. But that's where in this walk that we're walking, we have to be closer in alignment with Him and continue to build our relationship to shed those things off.
Yes, you're right.
And that's where we'll start to see more effectiveness as Christians.
Yeah. Well, James talks about the prayers of a righteous man availeth much.
Right.
There is much production. There's a lot of impact in being righteous and walking along with the Lord. And it's that relationship that brings us close into Him so that the things that we're praying about is we're praying His heart.
Right.
Because we're close. We're connected to Him. And so we know what His will is, and we discern through the Holy Spirit what His will is in situations and circumstances. Right. I know this can be tough at points, but there's been people that have asked me, would you please pray for whomever, a loved one who is sick and is passing away? Would you pray that they're healed? No. Because I know God's heart in the matter. That's hard.
Yeah.
Phil, am I wrong?
No, you're right.
You've had similar experiences,
Yes,
correct?
I have, yes.
And it's because God is sharing with us, and it's not because we're great and mighty or anything. It's just, we're just excited to walk alongside the Lord, and He graciously shares these things with us. Yeah. And it's like, so what He does want is He wants His peace that passeth all understanding to come to that family. Right. So that they can feel Him and be embraced by Him in this tough time while this other stage of life takes place. Right. So it really is in that walk with the Lord, in that in righteousness, that there's a clarity on his will. So then you know what to pray and how to pray it.
Right.
Like I said, it can be a very difficult thing. That circumstance can be a difficult one, but at the same time, it shows an effectiveness of prayer.
Right. Yeah. And that's where the relationship with him breaks down the difficulties and the confusion.
Yes,
that we
exactly.
have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because then you're seeking his heart and you realize what the situation is. Other people may not understand and realize it.
Right, but you do. Chad, you're exactly right. You do, and in that, honestly, you are encouraged and uplifted
Right.
because you're seeing God at work in that close relationship, that you don't want that relationship to become any further distance than you actually just want it to become closer, because you're seeing how God is moving in and through your life, and that you crave that and you want that closeness. And so you're like, okay, so if God's going to get me through this difficult situation, then you know what? There's another difficult situation that I'm getting ready to face. God's going to walk me through that, and he's going to tell me what part of my authority to use to speak to that mountain that's in front of me, to remove that, and so that I continue moving along the path that he's called me to.
Let me put it to you this way. If you had a choice during a major thunderstorm to walk in a field or to be in a car in that same field, which would you rather have? Yeah. Who wouldn't want to be in the car?
Right.
You're not going to get wet.
Right.
You're going to be protected. You might not get struck by lightning that way.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
When we come to Christ, it's as if we are, if you will, stepping into that car.
Yeah.
We're getting this protection that we can now walk boldly in this life, knowing we are protected, we are cared for, we are loved, because we're no longer enemies with God. We're no longer walking, but we see ourselves as still walking in that field, and God's still watching. No, God is there with you, carrying you through, and you have no fear.
Because of all of what he's given you.
Yes.
Yeah.
There should be no fear.
That's good.
Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me.
Yeah, and I will fear no evil.
I fear no evil, yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
Really gives us the encouragement to speak in the authority that we've been given.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to face those things in front of us. It really does.
Yeah, because you have a hope of getting past them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've talked for half an hour about this, and we've hopefully opened up doors for people to ask questions,
Yeah.
dig into it more. I know we couldn't give you everything
Right.
in just this half hour.
Right.
But hopefully this has been enough to jumpstart you into wanting to know this more, wanting to understand this authority more, and reach out to us or
Send us questions.
send us questions.
Yeah.
Try to discover it for yourself. Just know that you have God with you, on your side, everywhere you go, and you're not going to go wrong. When you seek him, you will find him when you seek him with your whole heart.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
And we're here to help.
Yeah.
And Phil loves it when we ask him Bible questions.
Yes, I do love it.
Yes.
I do love it.
Send in the questions. Send in the questions. It's awesome.
I do.
I might have done that a couple times a week for the past month. And some of them ended up on Bible time.
Yeah.
But they were really good. And it, praise God for giving you the good answers.
Absolutely.
That he did.
Right?
I mean,
Yes, praise God.
Some of it was just like, man, that's incredible. I've never thought about things that way. He's revealing to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is very uplifting.
Right. And it's not me. It is God, because I knew that it was possible, so I went to him and he provided. And he will do that for you.
Yeah.
Right.
I am nothing. I'm just like you. But God provided because I asked. So just ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, ask and you will receive.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. Yep.
Seek and you shall find.
And that's part of our walk, you know,
It is. It's
is
all
just
part of it.
learning new things, because it's, you know, it's like, man, it's just like, it's eye-opening and it's exciting and it's refreshing to learn a new way to get you one step further on your path.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, where's that time again? I almost want to just keep going. You know, we have had a request to just keep going sometime.
Wow.
So we should do that sometime.
We'll have to get a cooler and box of pizza.
Exactly. Talk about get the buffet in here. We'll be set. That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would really be fun.
Yeah.
If you happen to be watching this, you can go to the popuppastor.com, and there's links there to get you to where you can buy the books, or you can go to books2read.com/4 FOUR dash hearts, and that will take you to a link where you can purchase the book as
Awesome.
well. And you can get it from me. I'm selling them at a huge discount because I want to get the message out. So,
That's
and I'll
fantastic.
sign it too if you get it from me.
Wow.
Not that that matters, but
You could get a legit autograph.
I
yeah.
know. That's awesome.
All right.
Fantastic. Great show tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great
Yeah.
show tonight.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody, for joining in. We'll see you next week.
Yep. See you
Absolutely.
next time.
Blessings.